right, guys, welcome out to the Get Hunt Ready podcast, episode number 2. Today we got Gary Gallegos on with us, and my dad's able to make it here. He's not feeling as sick as he was last week when we talked to Jason. So, Gary, thanks for coming out, man. We appreciate it. I've had some good experiences with Gary. Gary was with me the very first time that I shot, actually the only bull elk that I've ever shot. Somehow me and Gary ended up together. My dad was in the truck around the corner and wasn't able to get there for some reason, but that was a good time, man, down there in New Mexico. So, and then my dad and Gary do a lot of hunting together down in New Mexico, Nevada, do guiding and stuff down there. So, Gary, fill us in a little bit. You and I were chatting just before this. I didn't know kind of what led you into hunting and all that kind of stuff. You were telling me a little bit about shooting competitively, archery, and how that one thing led to another. And now you got this whole guide service you're providing down in New Mexico. So just kind of fill us in a little bit of the kind of those checkpoints that you've had. That's what's led you to where you're at today.
Yeah, I got started through my brother and a couple friends shooting bows. Obviously wasn't too good starting out, looking to make some improvements. So ended up at the archery shop quite often, like every night. So got started doing that and hung out with some guys there that were shooting, a little competitive archery, and got started in that and couldn't stop. That's what got me started in archery hunting. Got the juices flowing, man, and did it for about 6-7 years. Obviously got pretty good at it, so I thought, until the next live animal stepped out in front of me, and it didn't work out so well for a few years. So,
did you ever get buck fever when you first started shooting like live animals with your bow? Does that ever happen to you?
Crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. I was perfectly calm in competition and did good at it, but the minute it came down to game time out in the field, it was a different story. And like I tell everybody, if you want to give it a try, I missed 14 deer in a row for over a 3-year span.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That hits hard, man.
So I had every right to quit and give it up because I couldn't hit anything. So luckily I didn't give it up, and then got a little better at it with experience, of course. I learned what not to do.
Sounds like I got super lucky, man. So let's see. I was just home from my mission. I was 21, Dad, when we did that archery, my first archery hunt. Obviously we hunted with rifle and stuff a lot, but I used my dad. Like, I didn't have my own setup. I had my dad's bow. We go and we're sitting in a blind, and I'll put the picture on it here in the video. But we were sitting in a blind like 40 yards away from a watering hole, and we had 2 big mule deer come in. Both of them were like, lifetime type mule deer. They came in, and I remember I was sitting cross-legged. They come in, they duck their head down to get a drink, and I draw that bow back, and my legs literally start like flopping, like I'm getting ready to fly away, dude. Like, I'd never had buck fever my entire life. I'd shot multiple deer before this, but that was the first one, archery. And oh man, I remember it was like my dad's all laughing at me. We're sitting in the blind trying to keep quiet, and my legs are flopping around like crazy. I ended up taking a shot at that deer and shot just at its feet, and he took off running. And luckily, I'd taken the shot before he'd got a drink. So that was in the morning. We went back that night. The same buck came in. It took him 2 hours probably to come in on that water because he was so skittish of us being there.
Yeah, a little shell shocked.
Yeah. So luckily, like you said, he came in again. I got the shot off again. Was able to drop him at 40 yards. I think we ended up scoring him around a 185 or something like that. So, but that was my first experience with buck fever, dude. I'd never had it my whole life, but something about pulling that bow back that just made it different for me.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know how many guys I've helped, with their bow, especially first timers, and you are correct. They, what I call, lose their legs.
Yeah.
They can't even stand after the shot.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible, but it's pretty awesome.
Even successful. Even as many as you've killed now, Gary, with your bow, I mean, when that buck comes in, there's still that feeling of, you're not calm and collected most of the time, even now, right?
No,
much more so than you were, but
yeah, you literally lose your mind. You're thinking of all the, like I tell everybody, 99 things have to go right, but only one thing can go wrong. Mm-hmm. So you've got to keep it together the entire time, which is tough.
and just not looking forward to the excitement, right? Like you said, you get that big animal coming in and you're getting all stoked on it, and it's sometimes, put the cart before the horse there.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what keeps us coming back for more every time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So I don't know. I still get excited. I probably should be on some kind of heart medication at this point. I don't know. Keep a little calmer. I don't know. Start drinking again. Something. I don't know.
I don't know if, man, like you said, I don't know if you can ever kind of get rid of it though, because the same thing when we went in New Mexico and you and I were calling that bull in. That was when it was really dry that year, right? And so I called my dad. I was like, "Hey, should I bring my bow?" And he's like, "We haven't seen an elk in 2 weeks." He's like, "Bring your rifle." So I brought my rifle down, and we ended up calling that bull in like less than 40 yards from us. I remember I pulled up my rifle and all I could see was hair in the scope. I had no idea where I was hitting that thing. I just started shooting.
Yeah, that one got a little close to us for rifle.
He got right on top of us, dude. But it's situations like that where you're like, man, you can never prepare yourself to stay calm in a situation like that. It's like whether it's excitement or some people it might be fear, or some people it might be just the buildup of years and years. Like you said, 14 missed shots to you got this few seconds to be able to land it, man.
You don't have to repeat that over and over. I try to forget about it. Hey, but I will tell you one thing. You say you try to get prepared the whole 9 yards. I know a guy recently who literally forgot to take the safety off.
Oh.
Not mentioning names, but
and that was a cow.
On a cow, and the elk is still alive.
Oh man.
So you get a little excited when they don't have antlers.
Yeah. Preparation is key. However, there are those mental factors that come into play.
Yeah, well, it's like building habits, right? Like whenever you get in that situation, there's so much going on. If it's not habitual and second nature for you, then it's easy to skip something as easy as taking it off the safety, right? So getting those reps in and practicing your shots and all that kind of stuff, and taking the safety on and off, I guess, is one thing to add to your prep.
Yeah, so not mentioning names, but after that, I did take your dad out shooting prairie dogs again to make sure he had plenty of reps in on making sure the gun wasn't on safety anymore.
Not mentioning names there.
I gained the nickname the rest of that season of, what was it? Something Safety Daryl or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, Daryl Safety First Levitt.
That's right. That's what it was.
That's right.
He's obviously embarrassed about it because this is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah. He's definitely known for it now.
Yeah. All right. Well,
sure you
Father's Day is coming up. I can get him a plaque or something.
I could kill a 400-inch bull down there now, and it won't even matter. It'll still be safety first.
Yeah, nothing but good times.
That happened to me spearfishing all the time too. I've been out here in Hawaii. We have axis deer and pigs and goats and stuff to hunt here, but I've been doing a lot of spearfishing because at this point they don't need licenses, or they've got some regulations on what fish you can shoot, but it's kind of opened up this whole new world of hunting for me down here. But that's happened to me multiple times. But I've been so focused on practicing holding my breath and how to hunt underwater that I haven't been doing any target practice, man. So there's been a couple of times I've been in on some big fish and I go to pull the trigger and I got the safety on. And then at that point you panic and now you got to take a breath. So you got to swim back up 50 feet, and it's like this whole other thing. But I guess, like you said, it just goes getting those reps in, taking shots and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, man.
Making it second nature.
Absolutely. Yeah, so lately I've got the archery fever again with this new bow, getting it all set up and dialed in and everything. And I'm definitely ready to give it a little archery hunting this year again. But it takes a ton of practice and time for tuning to execution, everything. So it's definitely a lot.
So walk anybody that's listening through that. You coming from a competitive standpoint, what are there any differences of shooting archery competitively as far as preparation and tuning your bow and all that kind of stuff versus what you would have a setup for hunting with archery?
I learned a lot since, the 90s with this new technology of bows and everything. They seem to be a lot easier to get tuned with the way they've designed them and everything. But for me, it's making sure that the poundage that you're pulling, that you're really comfortable at without too much strain, during your aiming process. And then the other part is I've learned that the arrow is so important to get the right arrow. the right length for your draw weight, you know. So from the weight on your tip of your arrow to making sure the spine is correct. So I've got this, I call it a batch of a dozen arrows, you know, different brands, different lengths, different spines that I just run through these bows now, you know, for the weight that you want to shoot. And what we've been working with Reese this last 2 weeks, because he's drawn that Nevada elk tag, and he hasn't shot in 20 years. And he is shooting unbelievably well right now in about, like I said, a 2 to 3 week span. Just having the knowledge of these arrows that are what I call ready to go, you know, and see which arrow comes out of his bow and tunes the best. Poundage, you know, versus draw length, you know, draw. And they're a lot easier nowadays to tune and, you know, get dialed in.
Nice. So
yeah.
let's take my situation here, right? I've hunted archery basically one season, right? As far as like actually filling a tag and whatnot. I've got the same bow, and I just started shooting again this last week. And there's some like I need to get some new arrows on this, man. Like I'd be throwing it like 40 yards, and I'd see that thing like spiral into the target, and like it'll jump 3 inches, you know. I'm like, holy smokes, man. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, well, do I just need to get new arrows? Is it the draw length, or are arrows bent? Is it the fletchings? All that kind of stuff. Is there like in order, like, hey, this is usually what's happening, right? Your draw length is messed up, or your fletchings are all bent, or anything like that, or you just kind of have to run through.
No, so obviously your draw length is obviously your draw length is the first thing you want to make sure that it's on the money. But obviously they have it down to a science for that also now, you know, measuring from, you know, fingertip to fingertip, you know, wingspan, you know, and I believe it's divided by 2.5.
Yep.
Man, it puts you exactly where you need to be on your draw length. After that, man, that draw weight to me is so important to make sure you're not pulling 70 when you should only be pulling 64 or something to really execute a shot well, you know. So that to me is the beginning stages of it. After that arrow. And who you need, Preston, is Blair Sandberg. The guy has it down to a science on these arrows and the stability of a bow, you know, with the stabilizer situation. He's the man when it comes to that, getting you dialed in and educating you on the science of it. You know,
yeah, my dad was just telling me about him a couple of days ago. I guess I'm gonna have to fly him out to Hawaii and have him tune things up. He might tell me I need a whole new bow, man. This Hoyt that I'm shooting is kind of old.
Not only that, he would probably say you probably need to take him underwater to explain to him, you know, exactly what it is on a little fishing trip, and he'd be glad to help you out, you know.
I'm sure, man.
Yeah. So I mean, for you, beginner like that, I don't even call it beginner, man. Just a few minor changes makes all the difference in the world. Yeah, I just actually finished up Reese's arrows today. I built him a brand new dozen, new fletches, the whole 9 yards. You know, new arrows, you know, certain fletches, certain length of an arrow, the whole 9 yards just coming out of his bow like a dart.
So, and you see all these new different types of fletching technology, I guess, if you want to call it. Do you find much of a difference in those, having a big feathered fletching versus, you know, more of a, you know, a plastic, or some of them got them that have certain rotations on them and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
you find big differences in those?
Yeah, I don't shoot any feathers like that anymore. You know, no need for that kind of stuff. All plastic fletches, but obviously the material they're making them out of nowadays is second to none. So a few guys like Blair, and there's another gentleman out of Utah. You know, his Instagram deal is Yates in the Backcountry. He's unbelievable. He just put something out on Western Hunter magazine. That, you know, the whole tuning process of it and stuff. He's been a great help also on that. But, you know, you can find out what really worked with you, from 2-inch fletches to, you know, 3.5. That's what I shoot, depending on what you're doing, you know. So it's all plastic fletch, you know, from on that part of it. Yeah. So
cool. Yeah, I know I'm running some 2-inch fletch, but like I said, I've been seeing, I can't remember who it was that I was seeing, but they got big old, they're not actual feathers now, but they're, seems like the end of their fletching is that big around, and it's all feathery looking. Looks like you can go dust your cabinets and stuff with it before you go take a shot. You know?
I don't know if they're shooting pheasants or what they're doing with those, you know.
Yeah, man, there's lots of different stuff out there, but
Yeah, it's
So,
pretty.
so how did that all lead? You're doing competitive archery. That led to doing archery hunting and kind of getting the bug for that. Well, now you're running your whole operation down in New Mexico, where you got 60,000 acres or something like that that you're
Yeah,
managing and running hunters on.
yeah. Between I don't know, back in the '90s, like I say, I get a little competitive with the archery, and then bow hunting, and missed however many I missed. It gets under my skin a little bit, and a few friends draw tags here in Nevada. Go out there and help them on that, and a few successful trips lead from one person to two people, on and on. And then when my kids, become of age, 12, 13 years old, to start hunting here in Nevada, I kind of slowed down helping people here in Nevada, and was taking my kids out every year on that. And then, of course, I get the phone call one day where I grew up in New Mexico if I would possibly want some elk permits, So I think I maybe called your dad, see what he thought, but he didn't answer his phone. So I went ahead and said yes, and took care of that, Sealed the deal on locking up, like you say, a lot of land, with a lot of permits, And obviously it's all private down there, private land. So you get to manage it correctly is the best part.
Yeah.
And also the ability nowadays to have something like that's incredible, Preston. Basically to invite whoever you would like, but more importantly is also taking young kids, beginner hunters, no matter what age they are. We had a pretty cool deal last year that your dad and I were involved in with Montana Knife Company. I invited Jessie, which is Josh's wife, who had never hunted before, ever, to come out on a hunt and basically show her the ropes of hunting, see what she thought, being a first timer. And a week or so before the hunt, Josh called and was looking to invite another lady, that obviously we didn't know. And one thing led to another, man, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I remember watching you guys' video recap of that. It looked like it was awesome.
Yeah, so that's been super, super fun. We get to take kids from 8 years old that just got their hunter safety, you know, 12 years old, whatever the young ones are, middle-aged ladies. Heck, we had a young lady last year, Bella, who was 19, Daryl, I
Yeah,
believe.
18 or 19, yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal archer, phenomenal person, what I call an incredible listener. And she smoked an unbelievable bull with her bow, in September last year. So for us, it's pretty incredible to be able to have that at our fingertips to share it with a lot of people, that are just getting introduced to hunting, and basically can, show them the ropes, if you will, teach them, educate them,
Yeah, and
safety,
that's one
whatever.
thing I really respected about when we went down there, that I don't feel like growing up, it was ever, I don't know if malicious is the right word, but just for the wrong purpose. You get some people that get out there and they just hunt just because they're bloodthirsty, right? They just want to kill just to kill, and they'll kill anything that moves. And you get people to get out there poaching and just leaving bodies and that kind of stuff. But growing up, we had a respect for the land and respect for the animals and all that kind of stuff. I was taught that. But I found it very unique when I went and hunted with you down there in New Mexico, that even after we shot, like, I just had never thought about it, that after you shot, the animal's down, that it's down and it's a kill shot, and it was a nice, healthy kill. We start getting excited. We run up to the thing, we're all hooting, hollering, high fiving, doing all this. And I remember after we shot that elk there in New Mexico, you're like, all right, we're still in hunt mode, right? Because you're like, hey, we don't want to spook out the other animals, and we don't want to, having that conservation mindset before, during, and after the kill was something that I really respected and took with me after leaving that hunt. 2 years ago now it was, down there in New Mexico.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to show those people that exact thing, and I go from obviously the hunt to, like you say, after you kill, and you're field dressing that animal. Obviously for me, I've obviously done well at it, as far as keeping it clean. So, because, that's going to be the table fare for a while,
Right.
and man, I really enjoy that process, of as far as getting it all cleaned up, skinned out, quartered out, on ice. A couple days later, deboning it, you know, um, getting it ready to package, and of course having your dad there's crazy helpful because I think he's a master butcher at it. Um,
Yeah.
he
Growing up
definitely
in the butcher shop kind of helped, right?
exactly. So between the combination of everybody, we got my son there, LG, where we got our young mule there who can pack it out no problem. I can sit there and point
Yeah.
fingers, and your dad puts it in the package like no other. So it's all
Yeah.
good down there now.
Yeah, well, like
Yeah.
you said, it was a good experience
It's a
down
good
there, and
meeting
it
down there.
was fun, man. Got a
Yeah.
good thing going. So sounds like bringing all that together, you've had all these different experiences that led you to have this awesome opportunity to be able to manage all this land and all these animals. And you get to manage, like, I don't know if you have a limit from the state on how many tags you get, but I know that you don't take all the ones that you're given, right? Because you're wanting to manage the populations and make sure that future generations and the younger kids and the people that are new to hunting and all that kind of stuff are going to have the opportunity to go through and have these same experiences that we are without wiping out, herds and that kind of stuff within your jurisdiction.
Yeah, for sure on that. We definitely, years ago when we first started down there, we definitely had a limited number of tags that they would give us for the elk, but obviously the elk are what I call super plentiful right now. So they changed it a few years ago on me where we actually get unlimited tags,
Oh, wow.
for that. But obviously we don't just go
Yeah,
for
you
broke.
don't want to.
Shoot as many as you can. We keep it super, super controlled, and we watch it every year on what we see. For instance, this year, the turkey hunting's been phenomenal for years, but this year when I was down there, in April, the population was way down, so we're obviously going to cut way back, going into next year, to make sure it's handled properly.
Yeah,
So,
so you're going to cut back on tags. Is there anything additional that you do to that to make sure that it comes back stronger next year? Do you provide
like right
feed, or
now,
like what does that process look like?
yeah, like right now, the rainfall's plentiful, the feed, the whole 9 yards. So for me at this point, it comes down to predators.
Hmm.
If them coyotes, man, they wreak havoc on everything. Down there, especially, right now, currently this time of year, antelope with their fawns, deer with their fawns, elk with their fawns, and obviously we got a little, some bear on the ranch also, as far as for the deer fawns, and the elk calves and stuff like that, you know. So
Doing
that's
some
pretty much
predator
there.
management.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to keep an eye on that also and do your part to keep that under control.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
crazy thing about coming out here in Hawaii. I've been here for 2 years now and getting into hunting axis deer and that kind of stuff. Dude, they don't have predators here.
Yeah.
There's no natural predators here. There's no like severe weather conditions in these. Like they're a nuisance here, right? Like just like you got prairie dogs tearing up everything
Oh,
down here, we got like
yeah.
axis deer, man. And like there's no bag limits. You can shoot at night with spotlights, with infrared, with anything. The only hard thing here is getting access to them, right? There's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of public hunting land. You have to have private access and stuff, and that's a whole nother conversation about this. But yeah, it's just crazy to see the different things that you need to take into consideration as far as what is going to make a healthy herd next year. Here, it's shooting as many freaking axis deer as you possibly can, and there, it's some instances the opposite of that. But
Yeah, it's definitely what we call a target-rich environment. Whether it's prairie dogs or antelope or elk. The elk are always thriving down there. It seems like. I mean, I don't know. Your dad could tell you some days are just unbelievable. How many bulls we're seeing. You
yeah,
know, so
what's your Instagram handle, Gary?
mine is Deadeye Gary.
Yeah, so if you go to Deadeye Gary, he's always posting stuff on there, but there's multiple where it's pitch black, right? It's probably like 3 a.m. You're just sitting there and you can hear him like, man, I don't think that there's any elk around here anymore. And you just hear bugle from here and from there and from here and there. It's like you're like surrounded all the time down there, man. It's awesome.
I send your dad and LG out there with their bugles,
Oh
to
yeah,
make it look like it's
make
elk.
it make it seem like it's more plentiful than what it is.
Yeah, I got to keep it somewhat, people in the dark, if you will.
Uh huh.
You know, make sure they don't see too much. They might want to
Right.
move on in or something.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a target rich environment.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
It's a privilege to have it. Let me tell you, and invite friends and family and the whole 9 yards and youngsters. And we actually have a lot of older people that still hunt with us. And the oldest guy this year, what is he, Daryl? I think he turns 84 or 85 this year, and he's still going strong. And I tell everybody, this guy is still jumping off the tailgates of the truck at 84 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's all that fresh meat, man.
Dude,
knows where his meat's coming from, keeping the bones strong.
Exactly. So it's pretty cool to be able to take, like I say, from the 8 years old to the 80 years old. You know, it's pretty cool to have that kind of place where you can.
Yeah, well, like you said, it was cool to be able to be invited down there and help you guys out a little bit on stuff and be able to harvest an elk.
That's the unique thing. That's the unique thing about the ranch down there is the terrain is to where, just about any age, different parts of the ranch, you can take just about anyone at any age and be able to navigate and get around. Obviously, there's some rugged areas, but there are plenty of areas that are easy to get in and out of for those older people and the younger kids too.
So, Gary, just before we jumped on this and hit the record button, we were talking a little bit about, obviously with Hunt Ready, our big thing is we want to help people to stay ready for the hunting season when it's not hunting season, right? Yours looks a little bit different than that because you're managing this property and you're helping manage populations and all that kind of stuff. But aside from that, if you could give one or two bits of advice to people to stay hunt ready year round, what would that be?
For me, Preston, obviously, I'll be turning 54 this year, so trying to get in shape in 2 weeks before the hunt just doesn't cut it no more. Before, I'd say, yeah, I'm in good enough shape and young enough I can do it. It ain't happening anymore. So for me, it's literally hiking the hill as often as possible. And I have a trail here in Nevada that I hike. It's about 1.5 miles to the top on a trail, but it's rocky, And to me, I don't care if you're doing 1 mile or 10 miles. That mile's important to keep, whether it's your ankles, knees, lungs, heart moving as often
because that's different than, you use different muscles and you're walking on uneven terrain and stuff. It's different than even just going to the gym. You could be a ripped guy that goes to the gym every single day and get out and hike and get it handed to you,
Correct. And that's the thing for me. I can't just hike a bike trail or the pavement or a sidewalk. It does what I feel like nothing for me, right? It probably does something for me, but I don't feel it. But if I hit the trail and get some inclines up and down and all around, possibly a little weight on your back, just like you're hunting, that's the start for me of just keeping it going that way, And of course, after that, weapon of choice, whether it's your bow or your gun, that thing, making sure you are absolutely dialed in. Daryl can attest to this. We still have too many archers showing up. You hit it right on the head, not hunting ready. They are absolutely not hunting ready. If I had them, I don't know, pass the test, if you will, shoot to see if they can pass the test, even go out in the field. After it's all said and done, Daryl, what do you think? Not quite ready, right?
No, majority of them are. Some of them show up there, but a good majority, I would say, need a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people overlook how intertwined those two things are. You may be able to shoot really well and be out of shape, or you may be really in shape and be able to shoot. And you may be able to do both, separately. But there's a lot of times that you got to be able to pull that draw back and hold steady enough to hit where you need to hit after you hiked up a hill or sprinted up a hill or whatever, and you're huffing and puffing. And, like you said, sometimes a matter of a few inches or centimeters is a kill or a not kill,
Yeah, for sure. So for me, that's the biggest thing as far as, the archery hunts go, is they are just not ready with that bow. I don't think they're just proficient enough. And once you get to talking to them, you can tell they didn't spend enough time in the practice sessions. And especially whether you're kneeling down, sitting down, on your ankles type thing, in a chair, whatever it might be, out of a blind. They just haven't done enough preparation in that, because most people just stand upright and 30 minutes a day type thing, just standing upright, which is Normally, probably not the case.
Right.
For most shots with us, it's mostly kneeling down or sitting down. And so I'd have to say that for sure. It's just practice the real, what's really going to happen in the field when it's crunch time.
Yeah, it's the awkward positions, the awkward terrain, things that you, like you say, it's not a controlled environment at all in any
Yeah.
situation.
And it basically comes down, even for the rifle, it's the same thing. We have the opportunity to hunt the bulls during the rut down there starting October 1st with the rifle. So we're what we call running and gunning there in, the first 3 weeks of October, chasing elk. So not only are you in shape enough, but also with a rifle shooting off of shooting sticks, tripod shooting sticks. Are you stable enough? Because they're, I'm going to say practicing off probably the bench a lot, where, reality is you're going to be kneeling down off of some shooting sticks or something like that, pile of rocks, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
And you can actually see that. Wasn't it with Jesse last year, Daryl and Natalie? They were put in some. They were put in some awkward positions on both their elk
Mm-hmm.
on that rifle hunt. And just going to throw it out there, guys. The girls did all right.
Yeah, the girls, the guys could learn thing or two from some of the girls.
Yeah. Only, hey, let's just throw that in there. Both of them are fitness ladies, so they were
Yeah,
definitely in shape. Okay, and for being what I would call inexperienced, they did okay in the shooting lane when it was game time also. So maybe
yeah,
they can reach out to Natalie and Jesse, Preston. They'll
Yeah.
give you a nice tips on how to get prepped, because I think they work out 365.
Yeah, man. I remember
Yeah.
seeing some of their stuff, and we actually had Jesse and Josh. Hey, we had the whole family out here spearfishing.
Oh, that's
Jesse's
right.
Jesse's the only one that shot a fish. We were out
Yeah.
there for 3 hours, I think, maybe two and a
Uh-huh.
half hours, and you could see Josh getting a little frustrated. And he looked over to my brother-in-law that I own the company with, and he goes, "You go down there and shoot one." He goes down, shoots one. He's like, "Give me that thing back." He takes the gun back, goes out. Right, they're getting all competitive and stuff. But I think if I remember correctly, she's the only one that actually landed a fit. But I mean, it's a whole nother thing there too. But just goes to show that
Yeah.
you get some dedication, get a mindset and stuff, and get prepared for it. You can make it
Yeah,
happen.
she is just getting her bow set up. I think this week also, first time getting started shooting. So,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah, she's definitely got the juices flowing, man. So there's probably going to be an archery elk hunting here coming pretty soon her way.
it's awesome. Yeah, I'll have
Yeah,
to reach out and see what they're doing for their prep on it. That'd be cool.
yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, so I don't know down there, preparation with the rifle. Let me tell you, shooting those prairie dogs is the way to go to get prepared for your hunts. And we try to do it the day before the hunt, midday, whatever it might be, because you can shoot anywhere from 500 rounds to 1,000 rounds a day down there at these prairie dogs versus one shot at an animal.
yeah,
So getting that much trigger time, as we call it, is huge.
yeah, it
Well,
makes a huge difference.
well, you can see Gary and I talk about it all the time. You can see in the young kids, you take
Oh
down
yeah,
there and you take them out shooting prairie dogs, and within an hour, there is night and day difference in the way they handle the gun, the way they handle the scope, the way they shoot everything. There's no replacement for it, really. It's crazy.
yeah, experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had those couple kids out of Mississippi. They started out a little slow on prairie dogs the first morning, right?
Yeah,
Daryl hit it right on the head. Hour or two in, dude, they're like little marksmen, man. We couldn't
yeah.
even keep up with spotting the
You had
prairie
those
dogs
kids that
before they.
shot those antelope.
Yeah, exactly.
They got some good antelope that season, dude.
Yeah, those that last year those kids were crazy amount of fun. Like it
Yeah,
was
they,
unbelievable.
yeah, they
Yeah,
were.
they're definitely getting raised right. Let me tell you, their parents are doing an incredible job with them.
It's awesome, man. Yeah, I remember seeing their photos and stuff they posted on there. They shot some toads.
Yeah, for
But they were
sure.
like 12 and 13 or something.
Yeah, I believe so. No, I
They
think
were
those two kids weren't they 10 years old, Daryl?
10. Yeah, they were 10-year-olds.
They were
Mm,
both 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
for
awesome.
sure. Yeah,
Well,
next
they're
on their
getting
hit
the
list.
reps in for sure.
Yeah, next on their hit list is apparently some elk coming up.
Yeah.
Might be a little more challenging, but heck, those kids, they got nothing to worry about. They're like little marksmen.
They're up
They're
for it,
good
man.
to go. Yeah, they're
They
good to
were
go.
dying.
Well, you do the same thing with them that you did with me, man. You get anybody to kill an animal down there.
we
Like I said,
we got
man,
lucky.
we were sitting there and started running that cow call, and that thing picked its head up and it like sprinted at us, jumped the fence, and came right up on top of us before he knew what the heck was going on.
Yeah, that was good evening right there.
Yeah, it was a good one.
For sure, yeah.
All right, Gary. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming and spending a little bit of time with us here and giving out some insights and some experience and all that kind of stuff. But I think that I think you hit it right on the head there, man. There's all sorts of different stuff that you can do that you can, they're all important, right? Studying and learning and understanding, hunting tactics and understanding anatomy of animals, all that kind of stuff to know where to shoot and that kind of stuff. But what it comes down to is you got to make sure that you can do the job when you're in the situation, right? Get the reps in with your shots and with your marksmanship, and make sure that you're in shape to be able to get yourself in that position and stay calm enough to take the shot. So,
yep, get ready as much as you can before you arrive. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But and prepare.
All right, anything close up there, Dad? You got any insight or questions you want to end us here with?
No, I was just going to add to that. I mean, like Gary had talked about, preparation in as close to actual situations and conditions and terrain, and if you have the opportunity to shoot at live animals, whether it be predators or prairie dogs or whatever, that there's no replacement for that. As far as your practice and getting ready and being in shape, because I mean, we run into people once in a while. Not only can they not shoot, but they can't walk across from across the parking lot without being out of breath, and it's a challenge. It's not as fun for them, and obviously not as fun for those that are trying to help them either. So it's important for them to be in as good a shape and ready as much as they can.
Yeah, Preston, yeah. I'll post a video, Preston, of this guy right here, this sheep hunt, where your dad drugged me to get this sheep right here. Okay,
dude, my dad, when it comes to bighorn sheep, man.
Yeah,
I remember my dad's. I think he's your cousin. Is Jimmy your cousin, Dad? Tobiason?
Yeah.
We took him on an elk hunt, and Jimmy was not prepped, man. He just his hunt ready preparedness was lounging on the couch
Light.
Time, right? And I remember, but my dad, he turns into a bighorn sheep when you get him out on those sheep hunts, man. He's always packing like 70 pounds in his pack, and he would take me hiking up places when I was in high school that like DLNR would take helicopters into, because they're like, we ain't hiking that, right? Go up, check guzzlers and stuff. And yeah, Jimmy, I remember Jimmy's sitting there, and we didn't even hike him that hard, man. We were 100 yards off the four-wheeler or something. He goes, hey, I tell your dad I wanted to shoot a sheep, not become one out here. he's always
yeah. So the level of your dad, Preston, just so you know, sheep hang out on the mountain right here, and mountain goats hang out up here, right?
Yeah.
So your dad definitely has the mountain goat status.
That's right.
Yeah. Mountain goats hang out above the sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that hunt there, Preston, I have video of me recording your dad. Like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Send it to me, dude. I'll put it here at the end of the podcast.
In reality, Gary wants to blame that on me. In reality, that he saw them at the top of the mountain. It was his idea to go check them out, and then he wants to blame me for it. So just so we set the record straight there.
And then it was an all-nighter, literally, to get out of there.
Dude, I had my dad one time. My uncle shot like a nice bull, but it was clear up at the very top of a mountain that was straight up and down. So my dad's like, hey, Lane, and Reese was actually on this hunt too. He's like, hey, Lane shot this elk. He needs help packing it out. So we're going to go. And we didn't even get to hunt or anything. We went in just to pack this thing out, and we get to it, and he goes, hey, yeah, it's only about a quarter way up the mountain there. And it's a joke with me and my three cousins that went with us, because it was clear at the top of that mountain. And I think it was 12 hours round trip of us hiking up, boning this whole elk out, getting them all packed in, and the 6 or 7 of us packing them back out. And I remember as a kid, just like, man, this is the worst, dude. Coming in here, I didn't even get to hunt, dude. We just came in here and just had to put all this meat on our back and pack it down. And he went out just for that. Like my dad doesn't even like to hunt, man. He just likes to climb mountains.
Yeah. I think he called me. Preston. I think he called me on that and said he imported some kids with strong backs and weak minds.
That's right.
That's probably what it was, dude. I would have been sick of listening to me, and I think it was me and two, maybe three of my cousins that he recruited for that, and we probably complained the whole way up and back.
Well, one thing about Gary's sheep hunt, so it's clear, when he spotted them, they were in the clouds. Okay,
that's when you know they're good, man.
Those sheep were in the clouds.
We definitely won't forget this sheep hunt anytime soon, no doubt about it.
That's the thing too, is that hunt that that pack out that he hauled me into, I'll remember that forever, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's half of hunting too, is the experience and the memories and stuff that you get out of it. So I like being able to reminisce on this kind of stuff with this podcast. It's kind of cool to bring some of the stuff out that you might forget otherwise.
That's right, for sure.
But all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us here. If you guys want to go check out some of Gary, he's always posting this stuff on Instagram. And if you want a little plug for Montana Knife Company in there, that guy will sell anybody on a Montana knife over there too through his Instagram. So Deadeye Gary on Instagram, right?
Hey, just so you know, I don't really promote too many products. There's only about 5 of them out there, right? But definitely his knives have made my job and my back feel a lot better.
Yeah. They do good, man. I've got a couple of it. I've got his fillet knife and I got a speed goat knife, and I carry that speed goat knife out when I'm dropping 80 feet and spearfishing and stuff too, and they hold up, dude.
Dude, they're unbelievable.
Yeah. So go ahead, go check out Gary's Instagram, man. It's Deadeye Gary. He's got all the cool stuff and the nostalgic stuff, and any type of situation you could find yourself in with hunting, whether that be elk or deer or turkey or antelope or bear or whatever. He's got it all down there in New Mexico.
All right. Thanks, Preston. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. We'll take it easy.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. We'll talk.